Tycoon caught red-handed in car with Mistress. Pregnant wife watches from a distance. Ethan leans back in his leather chair, exhaling deeply as he stares out the window. For years, he's built an empire, real estate, tech startups, even a chain of luxury hotels along the coast. To the outside world, he's invincible, untouchable. But beneath that polished exterior lies a man burdened by ambition, loneliness, and secrets. "You're not just building businesses, Ethan," he mutters to himself, running a hand over his stubbled jaw. "You're building legacies." A knock interrupts his thoughts. It's Claire, his wife of 3 years, standing in the doorway holding a cup of tea. She's radiant despite the early hour, her blonde hair tied loosely in a bun. Her presence softens the room instantly. "Another late night?" she asks gently, her voice tinged with concern. She steps closer, placing the tea beside him. Ethan forces a smile, though there's something distant in his eyes. "Just tying up loose ends," he replies, brushing off her worry. "You know how it is." Claire hesitates for a moment, searching his face. "I do," she says softly. "But I also know when my husband isn't being honest with me." Her words hang heavy in the air between them. Ethan looks away, guilt flickering across his features like a shadow. He doesn't respond, not because he doesn't care, but because deep down he knows she's right. As Claire walks away, leaving Ethan alone in the quiet stillness of the penthouse, we see the first crack in their seemingly perfect marriage. Ethan watches her go, his expression conflicted. He wants more than anything to be the man she deserves, the man he used to be before success consumed him, but he can't ignore the gnawing emptiness inside. Claire places a hand on her stomach, feeling the faint flutter of movement within her. A small smile tugs at her lips despite the heaviness in her heart. This baby, a tiny miracle she and Ethan had dreamed about together, was supposed to be the glue that held them closer. But lately, she can't shake the feeling that something is wrong. Very wrong. Her phone vibrates on the coffee table. It's a text message from her mother. "How are you holding up, sweetheart? Remember, family comes first." Claire sighs, setting the phone down without replying. Family comes first. That phrase echoes in her mind like a mantra. Yet, every time she tries to talk to Ethan, he deflects or changes the subject. His excuses have become predictable. Work meetings, networking events, late nights at the office. Too many late nights. "Why won't you let me in?" she whispers to herself, tears welling up in her eyes. Later that evening, Ethan walks into the kitchen where Claire is preparing dinner. She turns to him, her expression calm but guarded. "I need to ask you something," she begins, her voice steady but laced with vulnerability. "And I want you to tell me the truth." Ethan freezes mid-step, his tie loosened around his neck. He knows what's coming before she even says it. "What is it?" he asks cautiously, avoiding her gaze. "Have you been spending more time with Natalie?" The name hangs in the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Ethan's jaw tightens. Natalie Brooks, his ambitious assistant who always seems to linger just a little too long during meetings, who laughs a little too loudly at his jokes. He hadn't realized how much attention he'd given her until now. "Claire, don't do this," he says sharply, regretting the tone immediately. "You're overthinking things." "Am I?" Her voice trembles now, raw emotion breaking through. "Because I saw the way she looked at you last week at the gala, and the way you looked back." Ethan opens his mouth to deny it, but the words catch in his throat. How could he explain something he didn't fully understand himself? Instead, he reaches for her hand, trying to bridge the gap between them. "Listen to me," he pleads. "I love you. I love our baby. Nothing, and no one is going to change that." But Claire pulls her hand away, shaking her head. "Love isn't enough if trust is gone, Ethan." Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. For the first time, he sees the pain in her eyes, the doubt, the fear, and it terrifies him because he knows he put it there. She zooms in on a photo of Ethan and Claire taken at a charity gala weeks ago. Claire is radiant in a silver gown, her arm looped through Ethan's, but Natalie sneers at the image, swiping it away dismissively. Pathetic, she mutters under her breath, taking another sip of wine. Does she really think she can hold onto him forever? Her phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. It's a screenshot of Ethan leaving his office building earlier that day. Natalie walking beside him, laughing too loudly. Beneath the photo, a caption reads, "Looks cozy, doesn't it?" Natalie smirks, tapping out a reply. Perfect timing. Keep sending me these. It's clear now. Someone is feeding her information. Someone who knows exactly how to exploit the cracks in Ethan and Claire's marriage. Natalie leans back, her mind racing with possibilities. This isn't just about revenge or ambition for her. It's about control. She wants Ethan all to herself, and she'll stop at nothing to get what she wants. Meanwhile, back at the penthouse, Claire tosses and turns in bed, unable to sleep. She replays their argument over and over in her mind. The way Ethan avoided her questions, the way his voice faltered when she mentioned Natalie. Every instinct tells her that something is deeply wrong, but she doesn't want to believe it. Not yet. She gets up quietly, padding barefoot to the living room. The city lights flicker beyond the windows, casting faint shadows across the room. She pulls out her laptop and types Natalie's name into a search engine. Page after page of professional accolades pop up, articles about her rise in the company, photos of her at industry events, but none of it reassures Claire. If anything, it makes her feel smaller, less significant. A sudden notification interrupts her scrolling. An email from a private investigator she hired days ago. Her heart skips a beat as she opens the attachment. It's a series of grainy surveillance photos, Ethan and Natalie having lunch at a cafe, standing close together outside his office, sharing what looks like an intimate moment in his car. Claire's hands tremble as she stares at the images. Tears blur her vision, but she forces herself to keep looking. She needs proof, not just for herself, but because deep down, she knows she won't be able to confront Ethan without it. The next morning, tension crackles in the air as Ethan arrives late for breakfast. Claire sits at the dining table, her expression unreadable. He pauses in the doorway, sensing immediately that something is off. "You're up early," he says cautiously, setting his briefcase down. "So are you," she replies coolly, pushing a folder toward him. "Take a look." Ethan frowns, opening the folder. His face pales as he flips through the photos inside. For a moment, he's speechless, his mind scrambling to process what he's seeing. "Where did you get these?" he demands, his voice low and dangerous. "That's not the point," Claire shoots back, her composure slipping. "The point is, you lied to me. Again." "I didn't lie," Ethan snaps, slamming the folder shut. "These pictures, they don't mean anything. You're blowing this out of proportion." "Really?" Claire stands, her voice rising. "Because it sure looks like something to me. Tell me, Ethan, how long has this been going on? How many times have you let her get close to you while I've been sitting here, trusting you, believing in us?" Ethan runs a hand through his hair, pacing the room. He wants to deny it, to tell her she's wrong, but the evidence is undeniable. And worse, he knows she's right. He's let Natalie cross lines he never should have allowed. "I'm sorry," he finally says, his voice breaking. "I didn't mean for any of this to happen. I swear, Claire, I love you. I love our baby. Please, please don't give up on us." But Claire shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. "Love isn't enough anymore, Ethan. Not when trust is gone." Later that night, Ethan finds himself alone in his study, staring at the same photos Claire showed him earlier. Each image feels like a punch to the gut, forcing him to confront the reality of what he's done. He thinks about Claire, the woman who stood by him through everything, who believed in him even when he doubted himself, and he feels sick with guilt. His phone buzzes, pulling him out of his thoughts. It's a text from Natalie. "Hope you're ready for round 2. Things are about to get interesting." Ethan stares at the message, anger and fear warring within him. What has he gotten himself into? And more importantly, how can he possibly fix it? Inside the car, Natalie adjusts her seatbelt, leaning closer to him with a sly smile. "Relax, Ethan," she purrs, her voice smooth but laced with mockery. It's just dinner. No one has to know. Ethan glares at her, his jaw tightening. This was a mistake. He mutters, more to himself than to her. I shouldn't be here. Natalie raises an eyebrow, feigning innocence. Oh, come on. Don't tell me you're still hung up on Claire. She doesn't understand you like I do. Her words hit him like a slap, igniting a spark of anger deep within him. You don't know anything about us, he snaps, his voice low but sharp. And you never will. Before Natalie can respond, a sudden flash blinds them both. A distant click echoes through the quiet parking lot. Ethan turns sharply, his heart pounding as he spots a figure standing several feet away. A woman, holding a camera. It's Claire. She stands frozen, her hand clutching the camera tightly, her face pale and unreadable. For a moment, time seems to stop. The world narrows down to the three of them. The betrayed wife, the guilty husband, and the cunning mistress, all suspended in this unbearable moment of truth. Claire, Ethan whispers, his voice breaking. He steps out of the car, his movements hesitant, unsure. Please, let me explain. But Claire doesn't move. Her eyes are fixed on him, wide with disbelief and pain. Explain what? She asks, her voice trembling but steady. That you lied to me again? That you chose her over your own family? I didn't choose anyone, Ethan insists, stepping closer. This isn't what it looks like. Oh, really? Claire cuts him off, her tone biting. Because it looks exactly like what I've been afraid of for months. Tell me, Ethan, how long have you been sneaking around behind my back? How many times have you sat across from me, pretending everything was fine while she waited for you? Tears stream down her cheeks now, unchecked and raw. She clutches her stomach instinctively, as if trying to shield their unborn child from the ugliness unfolding before her. Natalie watches silently from the passenger seat, a smug grin playing on her lips. She knows she's won, or at least she thinks she has. Ethan takes another step toward Claire, desperation overtaking him. Please listen to me. I made a mistake. I admit it. But I love you. I love our baby. I'll do whatever it takes to fix this. Claire shakes her head slowly, her expression shifting from anger to something far worse. Resignation. It's too late for that, she says softly, her voice barely audible over the sound of her own heartbeat. You had your chance, Ethan. You blew it. With that, she turns and walks away, leaving him standing alone in the parking lot. The weight of her words crushes him, and for the first time he feels truly powerless. Later that night, Claire sits in her car outside their penthouse, staring at the photos she took earlier. Her hands shake as she uploads them to her laptop, tears streaming down her face. She knows what she has to do next, but the thought terrifies her. Her phone buzzes beside her. It's a text from Sarah, her closest friend and confidant. Hey, how are you holding up? Call me when you're ready. Claire stares at the message for a long moment before finally replying, I need help. Can we meet tomorrow? As she drives away, the city lights blur through her tears. She feels like she's drowning, caught in a storm she didn't ask for. But somewhere deep inside, a flicker of determination begins to grow. She won't let Ethan or Natalie destroy her life, not without a fight. Meanwhile, back at the restaurant, Ethan slams his fist against the hood of his car in frustration. What the hell were you thinking? He demands, glaring at Natalie. Why did you push me into this? Natalie shrugs nonchalantly, stepping out of the car. Don't blame me for your mistakes, Ethan. You're the one who couldn't keep it together. He grabs her arm, his grip firm but not violent. This ends now. Whatever game you're playing, it stops here. For the first time, Natalie's confidence falters. There's a flicker of uncertainty in her eyes, but she quickly masks it with defiance. Fine, she says coolly, but don't expect me to clean up your mess. Claire sits on the edge of their bed, staring blankly at the floor. Her phone lies beside her, buzzing incessantly with notifications. Texts from friends, calls from family, even messages from acquaintances who've seen the photos splashed across social media. The scandal is everywhere. By sunrise, Hashtags like hashtag Ethan Carter affair and hashtag billionaire betrayal are trending online. She picks up her phone, scrolling through the endless stream of gossip. Her stomach churns as she reads cruel comments about herself. Accusations that she must have done something to drive Ethan away. Speculations about her worth as a wife. The public has already judged her, dissecting her life like it's entertainment. Why do they care so much? She whispers to herself, her voice cracking under the weight of everything. A knock at the bedroom door pulls her out of her thoughts. Ethan stands in the doorway, his expression a mixture of guilt and desperation. "Can we talk?" he asks softly, his voice barely above a whisper. Claire doesn't respond immediately. She simply stares at him, her eyes cold and distant. Finally, she nods toward the chair by the window. "Sit," she says flatly. Ethan hesitates for a moment before sitting down, his posture tense. He watches as she takes a deep breath, steeling herself for what's to come. "You owe me the truth," she begins, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. "No more excuses, no more lies. Just tell me everything." Ethan runs a hand over his face, exhaling sharply. For once, there's no deflection, no attempt to sugarcoat the truth. "I don't know where to start," he admits, his voice heavy with regret. "Natalie, she's been manipulating me for months. I didn't see it until it was too late. I let her get close because..." His voice falters, and he looks away, unable to meet Claire's gaze. "Because I was lonely and selfish." Claire flinches at his words, but she doesn't interrupt. She needs to hear this, needs to understand how they ended up here. "I never meant to hurt you," Ethan continues, his voice trembling now. "But I did, and I hate myself for it. You deserve better than this, better than me." For a long moment, the only sound in the room is the faint hum of the city outside. Claire wraps her arms around herself, as if trying to hold herself together. When she finally speaks, her voice is calm but laced with pain. "Do you love her?" Ethan shakes his head vehemently. "No. God, no. I don't feel anything for her except disgust, with myself for letting her manipulate me. Claire, you're the only person I've ever truly loved. Please believe me." Claire closes her eyes, tears slipping down her cheeks. "Love isn't enough anymore, Ethan. Not after this. Do you realize what you've done? Our marriage, our baby, everything we've worked for. It's all falling apart because of your choices." Her words hit him like a punch to the gut. He wants to argue, to beg her to forgive him, but he knows she's right. He's destroyed the foundation of their relationship, and no amount of apologies can undo that. "I'll leave," he says suddenly, surprising even himself. "If that's what you need, I'll go. I won't fight you on this. But please, let me be part of our child's life. I'll do whatever it takes to make things right." Claire looks at him then, her expression unreadable. There's a flicker of hope in his eyes, but also fear that she might say no. Fear that he's already lost her completely. "I need time," she says finally, her voice soft but firm. "Time to figure out what I want, what we need. Don't contact me unless I reach out first." Ethan nods, swallowing hard. "Okay, whatever you need." As he stands and walks out of the bedroom, leaving Claire alone with her thoughts, the tension in the air is palpable. Neither of them knows what the future holds, but one thing is certain. Their lives will never be the same again. Later that day, Ethan finds himself sitting in a dimly lit bar downtown. He nurses a glass of whiskey, staring blankly at the amber liquid as memories flood his mind. Memories of happier times with Claire, of promises made and broken. He feels hollow, adrift, like he's drowning in the wreckage of his own mistakes. A man slides onto the stool beside him, ordering a drink. It's Marcus, an old friend and business associate who's heard about the scandal. "Rough day?" Marcus asks casually, though his tone suggests he already knows the answer. "You could say that," Ethan replies dryly, taking another sip of his drink. Marcus studies him for a moment before speaking. "Look, I'm not here to judge. We've all made mistakes. But if you care about her, And your kid, you need to decide what kind of man you want to be. Are you going to wallow in self-pity? Or are you going to fight for them? Are you sure you don't want anything to eat? Margaret asks for the third time, her voice soft but insistent. You need to keep your strength up for the baby. Claire shakes her head, staring out the window. I'm not hungry, she murmurs, her tone distant. She wraps her arms around herself protectively, as if shielding her unborn child from the chaos outside. Margaret sighs, setting down the teapot before sitting across from Claire. Sweetheart, I know this is hard, but running away isn't going to solve anything. I'm not running away, Claire snaps, though there's no real anger behind her words, just exhaustion. I just needed space to think. And have you thought about what comes next? Margaret presses gently. What are you going to do? Stay here forever? Claire hesitates, her gaze dropping to her lap. I don't know, she admits quietly. Everything feels so broken right now. How do I even begin to fix it? Her father, Richard, enters the room then, his presence commanding yet gentle. He's always been the quieter of the two parents, but his words carry weight when he speaks. You don't have to decide everything today, he says, placing a reassuring hand on Claire's shoulder. But you do need to think about what's best for you, and for that little one. Claire looks up at him, tears welling in her eyes. What if I make the wrong choice? What if I ruin everything? You won't, Richard replies firmly, because whatever you choose, we'll be here to support you. Always. For a moment, Claire allows herself to lean into his embrace, drawing comfort from the familiarity of his warmth. But even as she does, doubts swirl in her mind. Can she really raise a child alone? Should she give Ethan another chance? Or would doing so only prolong the pain? Later that afternoon, Claire receives an unexpected visitor. Her younger sister, Emily. With her bright red hair and infectious laugh, Emily has always been the polar opposite of Claire. Bold, impulsive, unafraid to speak her mind. Today, however, her usual cheerfulness is tempered by concern. Hey, Emily says softly, stepping into the living room. How are you holding up? Claire forces a small smile. I've been better. Emily sits beside her, pulling her legs up onto the couch. Look, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. You're allowed to be pissed. Like seriously pissed. That jackass deserves every ounce of misery coming his way. Despite herself, Claire lets out a weak laugh. Thanks for the pep talk. No, I mean it, Emily insists, her expression turning serious. But, are you sure cutting him off completely is the right move? I get why you're mad. But what about the baby? Don't they deserve to have both parents in their life? Claire sighs, rubbing her temples. That's the thing. I don't know what's best anymore. Part of me wants to tell him to stay far away from us. But another part still loves him. Emily reaches over, taking Claire's hand in hers. Then maybe you owe it to yourself and to the baby to figure out whether that love is worth fighting for. Meanwhile, Ethan sits in his office, surrounded by boxes of personal belongings. He's decided to move out temporarily, giving Claire the space she needs. The emptiness of the room mirrors the hollow ache in his chest. As he packs up a framed photo of him and Claire on their wedding day, his phone buzzes on the desk. It's a call from Natalie. Ethan hesitates, staring at the screen. After a long moment, he answers, his voice cold. What do you want? Well, Natalie purrs, clearly amused. Someone woke up on the wrong side of the bed today. Cut the crap, Natalie. Ethan snaps. Why are you calling me? Oh, don't act like you don't care, she teases, her tone dripping with mockery. I saw the news. Poor Claire looked absolutely devastated. Did you cry together? Hold hands and promise to work things out. Ethan clenches his jaw, resisting the urge to hang up. Leave me alone. This is your fault. My fault. Natalie laughs bitterly. Please, you were the one who couldn't keep it in your pants. If anything, I did you a favor by exposing the truth. The truth, Ethan growls, standing abruptly. You manipulated me. You used me. And now you're gloating about it like some twisted game. There's a pause on the other end, and for a brief moment, Ethan thinks he's finally gotten through to her. But then Natalie speaks again, her voice icy. Fine, blame me all you want. But don't forget, I have evidence of our little encounters. If you try to turn on me, everyone will see exactly how guilty you are. Her threat hangs in the air, sending a chill down Ethan's spine. For the first time, he realizes just how dangerous Natalie truly is. Back at Claire's parents' house, dinner is a somber affair. The table is filled with food, but no one seems to have much of an appetite. Margaret tries to lighten the mood with stories from Claire's childhood, but the effort falls flat. Finally, Richard clears his throat, breaking the silence. Claire, sweetheart, we need to talk about something important. Claire looks up, sensing the gravity in his tone. What is it? We've discussed it as a family, he continues, glancing briefly at Margaret and Emily. And we think you should consider legal action. Protect yourself and the baby from any further harm. Claire freezes, the weight of his suggestion sinking in. Divorce, custody battles, courtrooms. The idea overwhelms her, making her chest tighten. I can't deal with that right now, she whispers, pushing her plate away. Not yet. No one's asking you to rush into anything, Margaret reassures her. But you need to start thinking about your future, about protecting yourself. As Claire retreats to her room later that night, she curls up on the bed, clutching a pillow to her chest. Outside, the world feels impossibly vast and cruel. Inside, she feels trapped, caught between anger, fear, and lingering hope. Natalie arrives moments later, wearing oversized sunglasses and a smirk that makes Ethan's stomach churn. She slides into the passenger seat without hesitation, her movements deliberate and calculated. Good morning, she purrs, leaning back against the leather seat. Miss me? Ethan doesn't respond. Instead, he glares at her, his voice low and dangerous. What do you want, Natalie? I'm not playing your games anymore. Oh, come on, she says, removing her sunglasses to reveal sharp, piercing eyes. You think this is a game? This is survival for both of us. What are you talking about? Ethan demands, his patience wearing thin. Natalie leans closer, her tone shifting to something more sinister. Let me spell it out for you. If Claire decides to go public with those photos, and trust me, you'll lose everything. Your reputation, your business, your precious little family. Unless what? Ethan snaps, his voice trembling with anger and fear. Unless we stick together. Natalie finishes smoothly. We present a united front. Tell the world it was all a misunderstanding. That you were trying to end things with me when Claire showed up. And if anyone questions it, she trails off, pulling out her phone and scrolling through messages. Well, let's just say I have enough dirt on you to keep you compliant. Ethan stares at her, his mind racing. He knows she's bluffing or at least exaggerating, but the possibility that she might expose him terrifies him. The scandal has already cost him valuable clients and strained relationships with key investors. Another wave of bad press could destroy him completely. You're insane, he mutters, shaking his head. I won't let you control me. Natalie laughs softly, a sound that sends chills down his spine. Control you? Oh, Ethan, darling, I don't need to control you. You're doing a fine job of ruining yourself all on your own. Before Ethan can respond, his phone buzzes in the cup holder. It's a text from Marcus, his friend and business associate. Call me. Now. Reluctantly, Ethan picks up the call, stepping out of the car to escape Natalie's prying ears. Marcus, I can't talk right now. Listen carefully. Marcus interrupts, his tone urgent. The board is calling an emergency meeting tomorrow. They're considering ousting you as CEO unless you give them a reason to keep you. Ethan's heart sinks. What? That's ridiculous. I built this company from the ground up. And then you let your personal life threaten its future. Marcus replies bluntly. Fix this, Ethan, or you're done. As Ethan hangs up, he feels the walls closing in around him. Every choice he's made lately seems to lead to disaster. Desperation claws at him, gnawing away at what little resolve he has left. Back inside the car, Natalie watches him intently, savoring his anguish like a predator stalking its prey. "So," she says lightly, breaking the silence, "are we on the same page now?" Ethan hesitates, torn between pride and self-preservation. Finally, he nods stiffly, avoiding her gaze. "Fine, but if you cross me again, I swear..." "You'll what?" Natalie cuts him off, her smile widening. "Fire me? Expose me? Face it, Ethan, you're trapped. And until you prove useful to me, I hold all the cards." Meanwhile, Claire meets Sarah at a secluded park near her parents' house. The two women sit on a bench overlooking a small pond, ducks gliding across the water in lazy circles. Claire looks exhausted, dark circles underlining her eyes, but there's a flicker of determination in her expression. "I hired a private investigator," Claire confesses, her voice barely above a whisper. "I wanted to know if Ethan was telling the truth about Natalie." Sarah raises an eyebrow, intrigued. "And..." Claire pulls out a folder filled with documents and photos. "She's been blackmailing him, manipulating him, making him believe she has leverage over him." Sarah scans the evidence, her expression growing darker with each page. "This woman is toxic. She's using him to climb the ladder while destroying your marriage in the process." "I know," Claire says, tears welling in her eyes. "But the worst part is, I don't know if Ethan even realizes how deep he's gotten himself into this mess." Sarah places a comforting hand on Claire's shoulder. "Then maybe it's time you showed him. Let him see exactly who he's dealing with." Claire nods slowly, her resolve hardening. For weeks, she's felt powerless, adrift in a sea of betrayal and pain. But now, for the first time, she sees a path forward, a way to reclaim her strength and protect her child. Later that evening, Ethan returns home, or rather, to the temporary apartment he's rented after leaving Claire. He pours himself a glass of whiskey, staring blankly at the wall as Natalie's words replay in his mind. "You're trapped. Is that really true? Has he lost all agency, all control over his own life?" His phone buzzes again, snapping him out of his thoughts. It's a video call request from Natalie. Reluctantly, he answers, bracing himself for whatever fresh torment she has in store. "Feeling sorry for yourself?" she asks mockingly, lounging on her couch in a silk robe. "Don't worry, Ethan. Things will get better, as long as you play nice." Ethan clenches his jaw, fighting the urge to throw his phone across the room. "What do you want now?" "Just checking in," Natalie replies innocently. "Oh, and one more thing. I ran into Claire today. Poor thing looked miserable. Almost pathetic, really." Ethan's blood runs cold. "Stay away from her," he growls, his voice laced with warning. Natalie laughs, clearly enjoying herself. "Or what? You'll stop funding my lifestyle? Please, Ethan. You're in no position to make threats." "So," Rachel begins, leaning forward slightly, "you're telling me you suspect Natalie Brooks of blackmailing your husband?" Claire nods, clutching the folder of evidence tightly in her lap. "Yes, and I think she's manipulating him in ways he doesn't fully understand yet. I need to know everything. Her past, her motives, anything that might help me prove what's really going on." Rachel studies Claire for a moment, her expression thoughtful. "You realize this could get messy, right? If we dig too deep, it might uncover things you're not prepared for." "I'm prepared," Claire replies, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. "I have to be, for my baby and for myself." Rachel nods, jotting down notes on a legal pad. "All right, give me a few days. I'll start by looking into her financials, phone records, and any connections she has within Ethan's company." "But Claire..." She pauses, locking eyes with her client. "Be careful. People like Natalie don't take kindly to being exposed." As Claire leaves the office, she feels a mix of relief and dread washing over her. For weeks, she's felt powerless, trapped in a web of lies spun by Ethan and Natalie. But now, for the first time, she's taking action. She's fighting back. Later that evening, Claire meets Sarah at a small cafe downtown. They sit in a secluded corner, their conversation hushed but intense. Claire slides the folder across the table, her hands trembling slightly. "This is everything I've gathered so far," she says softly. "Natalie's been playing Ethan like a fiddle. She's got him convinced she'll ruin him if he tries to walk away." Sarah flips through the pages, her brow furrowing as she absorbs the details. "She's smart," Sarah admits reluctantly, "but she's also reckless. That kind of arrogance always leaves cracks." "What do you mean?" Claire asks, leaning closer. "I mean, people like Natalie slip up eventually," Sarah explains. "They get cocky, start cutting corners. And when they do..." She taps the folder meaningfully. "We strike." Claire exhales slowly, the weight of Sarah's words sinking in. "So what's our next move?" Sarah smirks, a flicker of determination lighting up her features. "We bait her." Meanwhile, Ethan finds himself sitting in his office late at night, staring at a blank email draft. His mind races with possibilities, each one more dangerous than the last. He knows he needs to sever ties with Natalie once and for all, but how? Every attempt he's made so far has only tightened her grip on him. His phone buzzes suddenly, startling him out of his thoughts. It's a text from Natalie. "Meet me at the usual spot. Tonight. Don't be late." Ethan hesitates, his fingers hovering over the screen. Part of him wants to ignore her, to cut her off completely, but another part knows she won't let him go without a fight. Reluctantly, he types out a reply. "Fine, but this ends now." When he arrives at the designated location, a secluded rooftop bar overlooking the city, he finds Natalie waiting for him, sipping a martini with practiced elegance. She smiles as he approaches, her expression unreadable. "You look tense," she says lightly, gesturing for him to sit. "Relax. We're just having a little chat. I didn't come here to play games." Ethan snaps, his voice harsh. "What do you want?" Natalie sets her glass down, her demeanor shifting ever so slightly. "I want assurance, Ethan. Assurance that you're still on my side. Because if you're not..." She trails off, letting the threat hang in the air. Ethan clenches his fists, struggling to keep his composure. "You're insane if you think I'll let you keep controlling me." "Oh, Ethan," Natalie sighs, shaking her head. "You misunderstand. I'm not controlling you. I'm protecting us. Together, we can weather this storm. Alone?" She leans back, her smile turning icy. "Well, good luck with that." Before Ethan can respond, his phone buzzes again. This time, it's an anonymous email with a single attachment. His heart skips a beat as he opens it. A photo of him and Natalie together, taken just moments earlier. Beneath it, a message reads, "Careful who you trust." Ethan's blood runs cold. Someone else is watching them. Watching him. Back at home, Claire receives an update from Detective Monroe. The private investigator has uncovered something significant. Irregularities in Natalie's bank accounts. Large sums of money transferred under suspicious circumstances. More importantly, there's a connection between Natalie and a former employee of Ethan's company. Someone fired for embezzlement years ago. "This is it," Claire whispers to herself, staring at the report. "This is how we expose her." But as she closes the folder, a nagging doubt creeps into her mind. What if exposing Natalie doesn't fix anything? What if Ethan is too far gone to save? Her phone buzzes, pulling her out of her thoughts. It's a text from Ethan. "We need to talk. Please." "Let's get started," Marcus says curtly, nodding to the CFO, who begins presenting a report on recent losses. The numbers flash across the screen behind him. Contracts canceled, partnerships dissolved, stock prices plummeting. Each slide feels like another nail in Ethan's coffin. This is unacceptable. One of the board members, an older man named Robert, finally interjects. His voice is sharp, cutting through the room like a knife. "We've lost millions in revenue since this scandal broke. Clients are fleeing left and right. And let's not forget the PR nightmare." Ethan shifts uncomfortably in his chair, his palms sweating. He knows they're right. The fallout from the photos has been catastrophic. but hearing it laid out so bluntly makes it feel even worse. "What do you suggest we do?" Ethan asks, trying to keep his tone calm despite the storm raging inside him. Robert leans forward, his piercing gaze locking onto Ethan. "What we suggest is that you step down as CEO, at least temporarily, until this situation blows over." The words hit Ethan like a punch to the gut. Step down? After everything he's built? It feels like they're asking him to give up a part of himself. "I can fix this," Ethan insists, his voice rising slightly. "I've already taken steps to repair the damage. I'm meeting with key clients next week." "And what happens when those clients see new headlines about your personal life?" Robert cuts him off, his tone icy. "Face it, Ethan. Your judgment is compromised. You're a liability." The room falls silent, the weight of Robert's words hanging heavy in the air. Ethan looks around at the faces of his colleagues, searching for someone, anyone, to defend him. But all he sees is disappointment, betrayal. Marcus clears his throat, breaking the tension. "Look, Ethan, no one's saying you're done for good, but stepping aside might be the best move, for the company and for you." Ethan clenches his jaw, fighting back the urge to lash out. He knows they're right, at least partially. His personal chaos has spilled over into his professional life, threatening everything he's worked for. But stepping down feels like admitting defeat, not just to the board, but to Natalie, to Claire, to himself. "Fine," he mutters finally, his voice barely audible. "I'll step aside, temporarily." A collective sigh of relief ripples through the room, but Ethan barely registers it. All he can think about is how far he's fallen, from the top of the world to the brink of ruin, all because of his own mistakes. Later that afternoon, Ethan sits alone in his office, staring blankly at the city skyline. The once familiar view now feels alien, distant. He pours himself a glass of whiskey, downing it in one gulp before pouring another. His phone buzzes incessantly on the desk. Texts from business partners, missed calls from investors, but he ignores them all. Finally, he picks up the phone and dials Claire's number. She answers after several rings, her voice cautious. "Ethan, I need to see you," he says, his tone desperate. "Please, just for a few minutes." Claire hesitates, unsure whether she should agree. Part of her wants to shut him out completely, to protect herself from further pain. But another part, a small, fragile part, still cares enough to listen. "Where are you?" she asks softly. "My office," he replies. "I'll wait." When Claire arrives 20 minutes later, she finds Ethan slumped in his chair, looking more broken than she's ever seen him. For a moment, she almost feels sorry for him. Almost. "What happened?" she asks, her voice tinged with both concern and suspicion. Ethan exhales sharply, running a hand over his face. "They want me to step down as CEO. At least temporarily." Claire blinks, caught off guard. "Because of us? Because of everything?" Ethan corrects her bitterly. "The scandal, the media circus, my inability to focus on work while my personal life implodes. They think I'm a liability." Claire takes a seat across from him, studying his expression carefully. Despite everything, she can see the toll this is taking on him. The exhaustion, the shame, the fear of losing everything. "So what are you going to do?" she asks quietly. "I don't know," he admits, his voice cracking. "But I can't lose you too, Claire. Not again." Claire looks away, her heart twisting painfully in her chest. A part of her still loves him, still believes there's good in him beneath all the mistakes. But trusting him again feels impossible. "You need to figure out who you are without all this," she says finally, gesturing vaguely at the opulent office around them. "Without the money, the power, the distractions. Because until you do, nothing will change." Ethan nods slowly, tears welling in his eyes. "I know, and I'm trying. I swear I am." As Claire stands to leave, she pauses at the door, glancing back at him one last time. "Prove it, Ethan. Prove to me, and to yourself, that you're worth saving." Meanwhile, Natalie watches the news coverage of Ethan's professional downfall from her apartment, a satisfied smirk playing on her lips. She scrolls through social media, relishing the headlines. Billionaire tycoon steps down amid scandal. Carter Enterprises in freefall. Her phone buzzes suddenly. A text from an unknown number. Your move. Don't mess this. You've been experiencing cramping and spotting. He says finally, breaking the silence. That's concerning, especially given your history. Claire nods, swallowing hard. She's tried to stay strong for herself, for her baby, but the fear gnawing at her insides is overwhelming. Is the baby okay? She asks, her voice trembling. Dr. Patel leans forward slightly, his tone gentle but firm. We need to run some tests to be sure, but I want you to prepare yourself. There could be complications. Your stress levels are likely contributing to this, so it's crucial that you find ways to manage them. For both your sake and the baby's. Tears well up in Claire's eyes as the weight of his words sinks in. Stress. That one word feels like a dagger piercing her heart. How can she possibly reduce her stress when her entire life feels like it's unraveling? I'll do whatever it takes, she whispers, clutching her stomach protectively. Whatever it takes. After the appointment, Claire calls Sarah from the parking lot, her voice shaky as she relays the news. They think the stress might be affecting the baby, she says, choking back tears. What if something happens to him or her because of all this? Hey, Sarah soothes, her voice steady despite the tension in her own chest. Don't go borrowing trouble, okay? You're doing everything you can. And you're not alone. I'm here. We'll get through this together. Claire sniffles, leaning her head against the steering wheel. It just feels like, no matter what I do, things keep getting worse. Ethan, the scandal, Natalie, now this. Like the universe is punishing me. It's not punishment, Sarah insists firmly. It's life throwing curveballs because it knows you're strong enough to handle them. You hear me? Strong enough. For a moment, Claire lets herself believe her friend's words. But deep down, the fear lingers, a constant ache in her chest. Later that evening, Ethan arrives unannounced at Claire's parents' house. He stands nervously on the doorstep, his hands shoved into the pockets of his coat. When Margaret answers the door, her expression shifts from surprise to skepticism. What are you doing here? She asks coolly, blocking the entrance. I need to see Claire, Ethan replies, his voice pleading. Please, it's important. Margaret hesitates, glancing over her shoulder toward the living room where Claire is resting. Finally, she steps aside reluctantly. 5 minutes, she warns. And if she tells you to leave, you leave. Ethan nods gratefully, stepping inside. He finds Claire sitting on the couch, wrapped in a blanket and staring absently at the TV. She looks pale, fragile, and impossibly beautiful despite everything. Claire, he begins softly, kneeling beside her. I heard about the doctor's visit. Her eyes widen in shock. How did you know? Your mom told me, he admits quietly. I wanted to come sooner, but I didn't know if you'd want to see me. Claire looks away, tears pooling in her eyes. Why are you here, Ethan? To make yourself feel better. No, he says earnestly, reaching for her hand. She flinches but doesn't pull away. I'm here because I love you, because I hate seeing you hurt, and because I need you to know that I'll do whatever it takes to protect our baby, to protect you. Claire shakes her head, her voice breaking. You don't get it, do you? This isn't just about us anymore. If something happens to this baby, if I lose them, it's going to destroy me. And how am I supposed to trust you to help me when half the reason I'm stressed is because of you? Ethan winces, guilt washing over him like a tidal wave. I know I screwed up. God, I know. But please, Claire, let me try to fix it. Let me be there for you. For both of you. For a long moment, Claire doesn't respond. She simply stares at him, searching his face for any sign of dishonesty or manipulation. But all she sees is raw, unfiltered emotion. Pain, regret, and desperation. Okay, she whispers finally, her voice barely audible. But if you mess this up, if you break my trust again, I won't forgive you. Not ever. Ethan nods, tears streaming down his face. Thank you, he murmurs, squeezing her hand gently. "You won't regret this. I promise." Meanwhile, Natalie watches Ethan's renewed connection with Claire unfold via social media posts and tabloid updates. Her grip tightens around her phone as she scrolls through photos of them leaving the hospital together. Ethan's arm protectively around Claire's shoulders. "This wasn't part of the plan," she mutters under her breath, tossing her phone onto the couch in frustration. Pacing her apartment, she pulls out her laptop and begins typing furiously. An email to an anonymous contact she's been working with. "They're trying to reconcile," she writes. "If we don't act fast, everything falls apart. Send me the files. Now." Within minutes, a reply appears. "Patience, Natalie. Everything has its time." Natalie scowls, slamming the laptop shut. Patience was never her strong suit, and now, more than ever, she feels the walls closing in around her. As Claire lies in bed that night, Ethan sleeping fitfully on the couch nearby, she places a hand on her stomach, feeling the faint flutter of movement within her. Despite the uncertainty swirling around her, she allows herself a small sliver of hope. Claire breaks the silence first, her voice steady but laced with frustration. "I've been thinking about what you said last night, about wanting to fix things, but I need to know, are you truly willing to change? Or are you just saying what you think I want to hear?" Ethan looks up, his eyes meeting hers. "I mean it, Claire. Every word. I've made so many mistakes. I've hurt you in ways I can't undo, but I'm ready to do whatever it takes to make things right." Claire studies him for a moment, searching for sincerity in his expression. She wants to believe him desperately, but the scars he's left on her heart run deep. "It's not enough to say you're sorry, Ethan," she says finally, her voice trembling slightly. "You have to prove it. Actions matter more than words." "I know," Ethan replies, leaning forward earnestly. "And I've started making changes. I stepped down as CEO, for now, because I realized how much my work was consuming me. I'm seeing a therapist too, trying to understand why I let things spiral out of control." Claire raises an eyebrow, skepticism creeping into her tone. "A therapist? Since when?" "Since I realized I couldn't fix this on my own," Ethan admits, his voice cracking under the weight of his vulnerability. "I don't expect you to forgive me overnight, or ever, if that's what you decide. But I owe it to myself and to our baby to become someone better. Someone worthy of your trust again." For a brief moment, Claire softens, her resolve wavering. But then a thought crosses her mind, a nagging doubt she can't ignore. "What about Natalie?" she asks sharply, her voice cutting through the fragile calm like a knife. "Is she still part of your life?" Ethan freezes, guilt flashing across his face. He hesitates before answering, choosing his words carefully. "She's complicated. She's been manipulating me, using secrets and threats to keep me tied to her. But I'm done letting her control me, Claire. I swear." Claire slams her hand on the table, startling both of them. Tears well up in her eyes as anger overtakes her. "Don't lie to me, Ethan. Don't you dare sit there and act like you've cut her out completely. I saw the texts, the emails, the way she's still pulling your strings." Ethan stands abruptly, pacing the room as panic sets in. "It's not like that," he insists, his voice rising. "Yes, she's still around because she's holding things over my head. But I'm working on ending it, on exposing her for who she really is." "Then why haven't you done it yet?" Claire shouts back, her voice raw with emotion. "Why does it feel like every time I give you a chance, you find another excuse to drag this out?" "Because I'm scared, okay?" Ethan yells, turning to face her. His chest heaves as he struggles to regain control of his breathing. "I'm scared of losing you, of ruining everything we could be. And yes, I've been weak. I've let Natalie manipulate me because I didn't know how to stop her. But I'm here now, Claire. I'm fighting for us. Doesn't that count for something?" Claire stares at him, tears streaming down her cheeks. Her hands tremble as she clutches the edge of the table, her knuckles white with tension. "Fighting isn't enough, Ethan," she whispers, her voice breaking. "Not when I feel like I'm drowning every single day." Not when I wake up wondering if today will be the day I lose our baby because of all the stress. Ethan steps closer, reaching out to touch her shoulder, but she pulls away instinctively. The rejection stings, but he doesn't blame her. Instead, he drops to his knees in front of her, his voice barely above a whisper. "Tell me what to do, Claire. Tell me how to fix this. I'll do anything." Claire shakes her head, overwhelmed by the intensity of the moment. "I don't know, Ethan. I honestly don't know anymore." Later that evening, Claire sits alone in her bedroom, staring at the photos Detective Monroe sent her earlier. The evidence against Natalie is damning. Financial records, incriminating messages, even recordings of conversations where Natalie brags about her schemes. It's more than enough to expose her, to end her manipulation once and for all. But as Claire flips through the documents, a wave of conflicting emotions washes over her. Part of her wants to destroy Natalie, to make her pay for everything she's done. But another part wonders if revenge will bring her any peace. Will exposing Natalie truly heal the wounds Ethan has inflicted? Or will it only deepen the cycle of pain? Her phone buzzes suddenly, snapping her out of her thoughts. It's a text from Sarah. "How's it going?" "Still standing." Claire manages a faint smile as she types out a reply. "Barely, but I'm getting there." Before she can hit send, another message pops up. An anonymous email with a subject line that sends chills down her spine. "Watch your back." Attached is a photo of Claire leaving the hospital the previous day, Ethan by her side. Beneath it, a chilling message reads, "Some secrets are better left buried." Claire's breath catches in her throat as fear grips her heart. Whoever sent this knows about her investigation, and they're warning her to stop. For a moment, she considers deleting the email, pretending it never happened. But then she remembers the stakes, not just for herself, but for her unborn child. "No," she whispers to herself, clutching her stomach protectively. "I won't let them win." Meanwhile, Ethan receives a call from Marcus late that night. His friend's voice is tense, urgent. "We've got a problem," Marcus says without preamble. "Natalie's digging deeper into company files. If she finds what I think she's looking for, it could blow everything wide open, including your past deals." Ethan's blood runs cold. "What are you talking about?" "There's a paper trail linking you to some questionable investments years ago," Marcus explains. "Nothing illegal, but enough to raise eyebrows if it gets out. And Natalie, she's sniffing around like a shark." Ethan sinks onto the couch, his mind racing. How much worse can this get? Just when he thought he was starting to gain ground, another crisis threatens to pull him under. "What do I do?" he asks, his voice hollow. "Busy day?" she asks casually, leaning against the edge of his desk. Her tone is light, almost playful, but there's a dangerous glint in her eyes. Ethan doesn't look up. "What do you want, Natalie?" "Oh, come now," she purrs, tilting her head slightly. "Is that any way to talk to someone who holds your future in her hands?" Ethan slams his laptop shut, standing abruptly. His patience is fraying, and he's in no mood for her games. "I'm done playing along with your schemes. Whatever you're planning, it ends here." Natalie raises an eyebrow, feigning surprise. "Planning? Me? I'm just trying to protect us, Ethan. You know how messy things could get if certain details came to light." Her words are like venom, seeping into his mind and planting seeds of doubt. He knows exactly what she's referring to, the questionable investments Marcus warned him about, the skeletons in his closet that could ruin him if exposed. "You wouldn't dare," he says through gritted teeth, though his voice wavers slightly. "Try me," Natalie replies smoothly, her smile widening. "Unless, of course, you'd prefer we work together. After all, we make such a great team." Before Ethan can respond, his phone buzzes violently on the desk. It's a text from Claire. "We need to talk. Now." Ethan hesitates, torn between confronting Natalie and addressing whatever urgent matter Claire has brought up. Finally, he grabs his jacket and heads for the door without another word to Natalie. But as he leaves, Natalie watches him go with a satisfied smirk. She pulls out her phone and types out a message to her anonymous contact. "Phase 2 complete. Time to escalate." Meanwhile, Claire paces anxiously outside a cafe downtown, her phone clutched tightly in her hand. When Ethan arrives, his expression is tense, his movements hurried. "What's wrong?" he asks immediately, his voice laced with concern. "Is it the baby?" "No," Claire replies, shaking her head. "It's Natalie. She's pregnant." Ethan freezes, his face draining of color. What are you talking about?" Claire thrusts her phone at him, showing him a screenshot of Natalie's latest social media post. A black and white photo of her holding a positive pregnancy test, captioned, "New beginnings red heart, #blessed. She claims the baby is yours." Claire continues, her voice trembling with anger and disbelief. "She posted this an hour ago. The comments are already blowing up." Ethan stares at the screen, his mind reeling. This is insane. She's lying. I never touched her like that. I swear. Claire, this is another one of her manipulations. Claire takes a step back, her arms crossed defensively. How am I supposed to believe you, Ethan? Every time I think you're telling the truth, something else comes out. Another lie, another secret. It's not true. Ethan insists, his voice rising in desperation. She's setting me up. To trap me, to ruin me. Don't you see that? Claire shakes her head, tears streaming down her face. Even if it's not true, it doesn't change the fact that she's dragging us through the mud, that our lives are falling apart because of your choices, because of her. Ethan reaches for her, but she steps away, putting distance between them. Please, Claire, he pleads, his voice breaking. Don't let her win. Don't let her tear us apart. But Claire's resolve hardens. I can't keep living like this, Ethan. I can't keep fighting battles that aren't mine to fight. If you want to prove yourself, if you want to save us, you need to end this. Once and for all. Later that evening, Natalie lounges on her couch, scrolling through notifications pouring in from her announcement. Comments flood her feed. Congratulations, questions, even accusations, but she ignores them all. Instead, she focuses on a private chat thread with her mysterious ally. They bought it, she types, a triumphant grin spreading across her face. Now they'll have no choice but to play by my rules. The response comes quickly. Excellent work, but don't underestimate them. They're desperate, and desperate people do reckless things. Natalie smirks, tossing her phone aside. Let them try, she mutters to herself. By the time they figure it out, it'll be too late. Back at Claire's parents' house, Ethan sits alone in the living room, staring blankly at the wall. His mind races with possibilities, each worse than the last. If Natalie's claim gains traction, it could destroy whatever fragile trust remains between him and Claire. Worse still, it could jeopardize his relationship with their unborn child. He picks up his phone and dials Marcus, his voice strained. We need to act fast, before this gets out of control. Marcus answers immediately, his tone grim. You're right, but exposing her won't be enough. Not unless you have proof she's faking the pregnancy. Ethan exhales sharply, running a hand through his hair. Then what do? We dig deeper, Marcus replies firmly. Find something she doesn't want anyone to know. Something that'll take her down for good. As Ethan hangs up, he feels a flicker of determination ignite within him. This isn't just about saving himself anymore. It's about protecting Claire and their baby. About reclaiming the life they deserve. A soft knock at the door pulls her out of her thoughts. It's Sarah, carrying 2 steaming cups of coffee and a determined expression. You look like you haven't slept, she says gently, setting the drinks down on the table. I haven't, Claire admits, rubbing her temples. Her voice is weary, weighed down by exhaustion and fear. Every time I close my eyes, I see Natalie's face, or Ethan's, or those stupid comments online calling me every name under the sun. Sarah takes a seat across from her, pushing one of the coffees toward Claire. You're stronger than this, Claire. Don't let them break you. It's not just about me anymore, Claire replies, clutching her stomach protectively. It's about the baby. What kind of world am I bringing them into if I can't even protect myself? Sarah leans forward, her tone firm but compassionate. Then let me help you fight back. Together, we'll take Natalie down and make sure she never hurts you or your family again. Claire hesitates, searching Sarah's face for any sign of hesitation or doubt. But all she sees is unwavering support. For the first time in weeks, she feels a flicker of hope, a small, fragile light in the darkness. "What do you have in mind?" Claire asks finally, her voice tinged with cautious optimism. Sarah smirks, pulling out her laptop. "First things first, we need to prove Natalie's pregnancy is fake. And I think I know someone who can help us." Later that afternoon, Sarah introduces Claire to an old friend of hers, Dr. Elena Torres, a former OBGYN turned private investigator specializing in medical fraud cases. They meet in a quiet cafe downtown, where Elena greets them with a warm smile and an aura of quiet confidence. "So," Elena begins, opening a folder filled with notes and documents. "Tell me everything you know about Natalie Brooks." Claire and Sarah exchange a glance before diving into the details. Natalie's sudden announcement, the suspicious timing of her posts, and the inconsistencies in her behavior. As they speak, Elena listens intently, jotting down key points. "Based on what you've told me," Elena says after a moment, "there's a good chance she's faking the pregnancy, but proving it won't be easy. We'll need access to her medical records, or at least something that suggests she's lying." "We already have some evidence," Sarah interjects, sliding over the files Detective Monroe compiled. Financial records, emails, even recordings of her bragging about manipulating Ethan. But none of it directly proves the pregnancy is fake. Elena scans the documents quickly, her brow furrowing as she absorbs the information. Finally, she looks up, her expression thoughtful. "This is solid groundwork, but if we really want to expose her, we'll need something more personal. Something undeniable." "Like what?" Claire asks, her voice trembling slightly. Elena leans back, tapping her pen against the table. "A public confrontation. If we can catch her off guard and force her to admit the truth, or at least reveal inconsistencies, it could blow this whole thing wide open." Claire's heart races at the idea. A public confrontation sounds terrifying, but also strangely empowering. For months, she's felt powerless, trapped in a web of lies spun by Ethan and Natalie. Now, for the first time, she sees a way to reclaim control. "I'll do it," she says firmly, surprising even herself with her resolve. "Whatever it takes." Sarah places a reassuring hand on Claire's shoulder. "We'll be right there with you. You're not alone in this." Meanwhile, Natalie receives a call from her anonymous ally. She answers immediately, her tone sharp and impatient. "What now?" "There's been a development." The voice on the other end replies cryptically. Claire knows about the pregnancy, and she's planning something big. Natalie scoffs, rolling her eyes. "Let her try. She doesn't have the guts to take me on." "You underestimate her." The voice warns, its tone colder now. "She's not acting alone. Be careful, Natalie. One wrong move, and this whole house of cards comes crashing down." Natalie ends the call abruptly, her confidence wavering slightly. Deep down, she knows the voice is right. Claire isn't the same woman she was weeks ago. Something has changed in her, something dangerous. But Natalie refuses to back down. Instead, she doubles down on her plans, typing out another post for social media. To all the haters, love always wins as she hits send. A sinister smile spreads across her face. Let them come, she thinks. They'll learn soon enough who's truly in charge. That night, Claire sits on the couch with Sarah, reviewing their strategy one last time. The plan is risky, but it's their best shot at exposing Natalie once and for all. "Are you sure about this?" Sarah asks softly, sensing Claire's lingering doubts. "No," Claire admits, her voice barely above a whisper. "But I don't have a choice. If I don't fight for myself, for my baby, then who will?" Sarah nods, squeezing her hand. "Then we fight. Together." Instead, he opens a notebook he's been carrying around for days. Its pages are filled with fragmented thoughts, scribbled reflections on his mistakes, fears, and regrets. As he flips through it, one phrase stands out. A question scrawled in bold letters. Who am I without my lies? Ethan exhales sharply, running a hand over his face. He spent so much of his life chasing success, building an empire, crafting an image of perfection that he never stopped to ask himself who he truly was beneath it all. And now, as everything crumbles around him, he realizes the answer terrifies him more than failure ever could. A knock at the door interrupts his thoughts. It's Marcus, standing in the hallway with 2 cups of coffee in hand. "Figured you might need this," he says, stepping inside without waiting for an invitation. Ethan forces a weak smile, accepting the coffee gratefully. "Thanks." Marcus takes a seat across from him, studying his friend carefully. "You look like hell. I feel like it," Ethan admits, his voice hollow. "Every time I think I'm making progress, something else comes along to remind me how far I still have to go." Marcus nods, sipping his coffee thoughtfully. "You know, I've known you for years, Ethan. You're smart, driven, and capable of incredible things. But you've also always had a blind spot when it comes to people. You let them get close too easily, and then you wonder why they hurt you." Ethan winces, the words hitting uncomfortably close to home. "I didn't see any of this coming, Marcus. Not Natalie, not the scandal, none of it. How did I miss it?" "Because you were too busy looking ahead," Marcus replies gently. "Always focused on the next deal, the next victory, the next milestone. You forgot to pay attention to what really matters. The people who love you, the values you claim to stand for." Ethan stares down at his coffee, guilt gnawing at him like a relentless tide. "Claire tried to tell me. She warned me about Natalie, about losing myself in work. But I didn't listen. I thought I knew better. And now," Marcus prompts, leaning forward slightly, "now I don't know anything anymore." Ethan whispers, his voice breaking. "I don't know if I can fix this, if I deserve to fix it." Marcus places a reassuring hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Fixing it isn't about deserving it. It's about doing the right thing even when it's hard. Even when you don't think you can." For a moment, Ethan allows himself to believe his friend's words. Maybe redemption isn't out of reach. Maybe he can still salvage something from the wreckage of his choices. Later that day, Ethan visits Claire at her parents' house. She answers the door reluctantly, her expression guarded as she steps aside to let him in. "What are you doing here?" she asks, her tone cautious. "I needed to talk to you," Ethan replies, his voice trembling with emotion. "About everything." Claire crosses her arms defensively, keeping a safe distance between them. "Go on." Ethan takes a deep breath, choosing his words carefully. "I've been thinking a lot lately, about us, about the baby, about everything I've done wrong. And I realized something. I've spent my entire life running from pain, from vulnerability, from anything that made me feel like I wasn't enough. And in the process, I lost sight of what really mattered, you." Claire looks away, tears welling in her eyes. "It's not just about words, Ethan. You've said all this before." "I know," Ethan admits, stepping closer despite her resistance. "But this time, I mean it. I'm not asking for forgiveness, not yet. I just want you to know that I'm trying, truly trying. For you, for our baby, for myself." He pulls out the notebook he'd been writing in earlier, hesitating before handing it to her. "This is part of me working through everything. My mistakes, my regrets, my hopes for the future. If you read it, maybe you'll understand why I'm fighting so hard to change." Claire hesitates, her fingers brushing against the worn cover of the notebook. She wants to push him away, to protect herself from further pain, but curiosity gets the better of her. Slowly, she opens it, scanning the pages filled with raw, unfiltered emotion. As she reads, Ethan watches her intently, searching for any sign of softening. Finally, she looks up, her expression unreadable. "Why should I believe you? Why should I trust you again after everything?" "Because I'm willing to prove it," Ethan replies earnestly, his voice cracking under the weight of his sincerity. "Every day, for the rest of my life, if that's what it takes." Claire shakes her head, tears streaming down her cheeks. "I don't know if I can do this, Ethan." Loving you, it's exhausting. It's painful. It's worth it. Ethan finishes softly, his eyes pleading with hers. She doesn't respond immediately, instead clutching the notebook tightly to her chest. For a long moment, the only sound in the room is the faint ticking of the clock on the wall. Then, finally, she whispers, "Maybe, but not today." That night, Ethan returns to his apartment, feeling both defeated and strangely hopeful. He knows he has a long road ahead of him, a lifetime of earning back Claire's trust. But for the first time, he feels ready to walk it. Meanwhile, Natalie watches Ethan's renewed determination unfold via updates online. Her confidence wavers slightly, but she quickly masks it with defiance. Picking up her phone, she types out a message to her anonymous ally. "They're planning something. We need to move faster." The response comes quickly. "Patience, Natalie. Desperation makes people careless. Let them dig their own graves." Well, Natalie says lightly, leaning back in her chair. "To what do I owe this unexpected visit?" Claire takes a seat across from her, her expression calm but resolute. Sarah stands nearby, recording the encounter discreetly on her phone. "We need to talk," Claire says firmly, her voice steady despite the storm raging inside her. Natalie raises an eyebrow, feigning innocence. "About what? How devastated you must feel knowing Ethan chose me over you." Claire doesn't flinch. Instead, she slides a folder across the table, its contents spilling out onto the surface. Photos, financial records, emails, all damning evidence of Natalie's manipulations. "I know everything," Claire says evenly. "Your blackmail, your lies, your schemes to ruin my marriage. And now we're going to settle this once and for all." Natalie scans the documents briefly, her smirk faltering slightly. But she quickly recovers, shrugging dismissively. "Clever girl. But none of this proves anything about my pregnancy or Ethan's role in it." "That's where you're wrong," Sarah interjects, stepping forward. She places a second file on the table, this one containing medical records obtained through Dr. Elena Torres. "You see, we did some digging. Turns out, there's no record of any prenatal care under your name. Not at any clinic or hospital in California." Natalie freezes, her confident facade cracking for the first time. "That's impossible," she stammers, her voice tinged with panic. I haven't had time to schedule appointments yet." "Funny," Claire replies, her tone icy, "because according to these records, you were treated for infertility last year. Multiple failed IVF attempts. So unless you've suddenly developed superhuman fertility, that baby bump of yours is nothing more than padding." Natalie's face flushes red, her composure slipping further. "You don't understand," she snaps, her voice rising. "Ethan promised me." "He promised you nothing," Claire cuts her off sharply. "He never touched you, Natalie. You fabricated the entire thing to trap him and destroy us." For a brief moment, Natalie looks genuinely rattled. But then her expression hardens, her eyes narrowing with venomous determination. "Fine. Say I lied. What are you going to do about it? Go public? Ruin me? Because let me tell you something, Claire, you won't win. People love a scandal, sure, but they also love redemption stories. By tomorrow morning, I'll have spun this into another narrative." Poor little Natalie, victimized by a jealous wife. Claire leans closer, her gaze piercing. "Maybe, or maybe the truth will finally catch up with you." Before Natalie can respond, a man approaches the table, a reporter clutching a microphone and camera crew trailing behind him. It's Alex Rivera, a well-known investigative journalist who specializes in exposing fraud and corruption. Claire exchanges a quick glance with Sarah, silently thanking her for setting up the ambush. "Ms. Brooks," Alex begins smoothly, his tone professional but probing. "Care to comment on allegations that you've been faking a pregnancy to manipulate billionaire Ethan Carter?" Natalie's eyes widen in shock, her carefully constructed mask crumbling entirely. How did you?" Alex holds up his phone, displaying screenshots of anonymous tips sent to his news outlet. Each message contains detailed evidence of Natalie's deception, emails, bank statements, even text messages between her and her accomplice. Sources close to the situation provided us with irrefutable proof. He continues, his voice firm. So, Ms. Brooks, are you pregnant, or aren't you? Natalie sputters, unable to form coherent words. Cameras flash around her, capturing every ounce of her humiliation. For once, she has no clever retort, no calculated smile to hide behind. She's exposed, vulnerable, and completely undone. As the scene unfolds, Claire watches silently, her heart pounding with a mix of triumph and sorrow. Part of her feels vindicated, validated in ways she hasn't felt in months. But another part mourns the ugliness of it all, the pain inflicted not just on her, but on everyone caught in Natalie's web of deceit. When the interview ends and the reporters disperse, Natalie storms past Claire without a word, tears streaming down her face. As she disappears into the crowd, Sarah places a reassuring hand on Claire's shoulder. "You did it," she says softly. "She's finished." But Claire shakes her head, her expression somber. "No, we're only beginning to heal." Later that evening, Ethan receives a call from Marcus. His friend's voice is urgent, almost breathless. "Turn on the news. Now." Confused, Ethan flips on the television, his jaw dropping as footage of Natalie's public breakdown plays across the screen. Reporters dissect her lies, social media,